sometimes our questions aren't as straightforward as this. Sometimes we have a whole bunch of negative signs. And we're not always sure what to do with that. So I'm going to call part B dealing with our double signs. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean by dealing with double signs so you know the kind of questions I'm talking about here. So the kinds of questions I'm talking about would be questions like 2 plus bracket positive 3, or I'll give you, so let's call this A, or maybe 2 plus minus 3. There are a lot of different ways to talk about these questions and how to do them. Here's how I like to do it. I like to come up with a rule where I can convert these questions, all of these questions, into a part A kind of question. In other words, I want to get rid of these, what I call double signs. And here's the rule. It's actually a multiplication and division rule, and we'll talk about that in the next video. But the rule for these double signs is if the signs are the same, your double sign collapses into a single, a single positive sign. Okay, so if my signs are both the same, they collapse into a single positive sign. So what do I mean by that? Both of these are plus, plus, and plus. So this collapses into a single positive. And I don't need this bracket anymore. So my next line now says 2
tells you that someone
plus
now comes
3.
and gives you $5.
Move these down. I need a bit more space. And so that I can do, and that would just become 5. Okay, so that's an example. But what if the rules, what if the signs are different? So if the signs are different, then you end up replacing that entire, what I call a bubble, with a single negative sign. Okay, so if the signs are different, you replace it with a single negative sign. So what do we mean by that? Here's another example. So over here, these two signs are different. One's a plus and one's a minus. So the whole bubble that I just circled in pink can be replaced by a negative. So again, I will write this as 2 minus 3. And now I'm back to a part A question above where I say I wake up with $2. Someone says, hey, you owe me $3. So you give them the $2 you already have and you still owe them $1. Okay, hopefully this is becoming a little bit clearer for you. Whoops, I want to move this down a little bit. So let's give this a shot yourself. So based on these rules, pause the video, see if you can figure out what this bubble collapses into, what kind of a single sign, and same thing for this. And then come on back when you're done to check your work. Whoops. Okay, so now that you're back, I'm hoping that what you have is, because these two signs are different, a minus and a plus, these combine into a single negative. So I keep the 2, I keep the 3, and I replace those double signs with a negative. That becomes just like our question up above, so it's a -1. Here, these two signs are both the same, negative and negative, so it gets replaced by a single positive. So 2 plus 3, and I get 5. So that's just how we're going to deal with those double negative signs every time we have them, double positive, negatives, or different. Let's give you a question that's a little bit harder. So let's give you a part E. And it's only going to be harder because it's got 3 integers instead of just 2. So take a minute, pause the video, and I want you to actually try to guess at what you're going to do next. With math, you don't ever want to sit there and kind of passively just listen and memorize. You want to say, based on what I already know, am I able to make a good guess for a harder question? So the more you're able to risk taking guesses, and it's okay if you're wrong, the braver you'll be with the harder questions. So pause it, come up with a guess. Totally fine if it's wrong. I just want you to guess it. Okay, when you come back, I'm hoping that you saw that there's this double sign thing here that we can go and use these rules for. And if not, again, that's okay. So then the question might be, what do I do with this? Well, let's leave what we don't know what to do with first. What we do know is that these are 2 different signs. This whole thing collapses into a negative. these are the same signs, this whole thing collapses into a positive. So now I can rewrite it. So I'm gonna copy out the -5. There's my -5. This subtract, I'm gonna bring that down here. The 3, I'm gonna bring it down here. So just to show you where all these numbers are coming from, this went down here, the negative is here, the 3 is here, and then the next thing I bring down is my plus, and then my 7. Now I can just move left to right. I can even add up my debt numbers. So think of it this way. Here I wake up in debt. Someone says, hey, you owe me $3 more. Well, now I have a larger debt of $8. So I can take those two first if I'd like, then apply the part A story of good day, bad day all over again, and you'd get a -1. Okay, so hopefully that has helped. And again, it's one thing to hear it and for it to make sense, but you really do need to try it on your own as well to make sure you're okay.
For a few practice questions and answers, please visit the next video, part 3 of 3.
If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe.